Hey, it's Liliana Gidry, and Fishbowl 3 presentation is going to be on figs, my brand, and AI adoption. So these were the two. Let me make this screen just a little bit bigger for myself. Okay. So these were my two websites that I chose. The first is AI and e-commerce utilization. And I didn't realize until I was doing research after I found that article and I read it and I thought it was really great, but I didn't realize that it focused primarily on companies in China. But um, the information still is notable and relatable to US companies because it is talking about small and medium sized corporations that want to take on e-commerce and how AI generated whether or not they could be successful in e-commerce or well it does, and then it also provides insight on what they need to do to be better, to optimize better results for to have an e-commerce brand. And then the other article isn't much of an article. I was really interested in it because it's about Figs, them investing into an AI education platform, which I thought was super interesting as well. And then I dug into some more research on that, specifically Figs, their quarterly report at the end of 2024, because when they invested into this platform. It was at the end of 2024, and I'll get into that, but um, that's pretty much what the article's about. So, first, I brought up e commerce. So, this is primarily the first article that I was talking about. E commerce, as a definition, is informatization and networking of all aspects of traditional transactions and the use of the internet or other electronic equipment to complete the implementation of all aspects of the supply chain of the enterprise. So that comes straightly from the article, basically just saying that you can use all these different tools on the internet or any other electronic device, any form of electronic communication to provide you know your product to the consumer. Sorry, I'm very cold and I have shorts on. Um, so, e commerce is used in retail, financial, and service industries. And the graph over to the right is showing the SME's e commerce utilization. And as you can see, as the trend, here we go, from 2015 to 2022 increased um, in the development of e commerce, then so did the industrial scale of the SME. So, an SME, as I mentioned earlier, is small and medium sized enterprises. The incorporation of e commerce in SMEs can promote the brand and increase revenue. However, lack of resources, lack of core capabilities can cause difficulties for SMEs. As you can see right here, in 2015, when they first were developing e commerce, they were increasing in their sales, but then right here, it looks like their e commerce development was increasing. So they probably spent more money on e commerce this year, but then because of operating costs, the industrial scale had went down, but it looks like it was on the up and up thereafter. However, so they use these results from here, the analysis that's in the report, and from there they use AI to calculate their business model further. So this is talking about how they use AI for their research, right? So it showed that China's SMEs are not prepared for e-commerce. Um, they use mathematical calculations to input the data to calculate foot traffic for SMEs. I'm not gonna, or I didn't bring that up. I didn't include any data from that just because it was like a foreign language to me. So I knew including that into this presentation would just make everyone else confused as it did me when I read it. So these were the results that the AI had calculated, was that there was a lack of experience in guidance standards, there was a lack of reasonable business strategies, and there was a lack of offline communication with consumers. And then they had recommendations for them, which was strengthening publicity and innovation and promote brand marketing, optimizing the industrial model and reduce industrial costs, and then also to strengthen cultivation and construction of talents and to improve the industrial model and marketing of e-commerce system. So where they say optimize the industrial model and reduce industrial costs, that's pretty much basically what they're talking about right in here. It looks like they were on the up and up thereafter and starting in 2017, and then it looks like they kind of balanced out here between 2018 and 2019, and then just kind of skyrocketed from there. But they're just recommending that they continue to optimize the industrial model and reduce those industrial costs. And then some of the advantages that the AI had determined was that they do analyze e-commerce utilization from the perspective of AI. So they felt that using the AI model to do the research on their company was a good benefit for them. That the model constructed by the article must be innovative, and the content of the article is complete, and the research ideas were clear. They did find some disadvantages, which the depth of the article research was not enough. The article does not specifically elaborate on the e-commerce utilization rate of the research object. Let's see. Okay, so Figs invested $25 million into OOG Incorporated in late 2024. The article that I found was published in early November of 2024. So I'm assuming that they had invested probably mid to late October. And that's when the article was published thereafter. OOG Incorporated is a healthcare education platform that uses AI to determine what will qualify for CMEs for healthcare professionals. So I honestly did not look up the actual term for a CME. I hear it all the time. As I've stated before, I work in the healthcare industry as an administrator, and I don't work direct. I do work directly with our mid levels, which is a physician assistant nurse practitioner, and then I also work directly with some of our surgeons on our staff. But I don't deal with the back end part of things. I do, but not with CMEs and credentialing. And I know about a lot of it, but I don't play a big hand in that. So a CME is basically just like more education that each provider has to have each year to continue to be credentialed as a provider, right? And they get funding for that. So if they take a class somewhere, they can get reimbursed for taking that class. A lot of providers like to go on a trip or vacation and say, oh, I'm using that as my CME. So, like, for instance, I work in a weight loss clinic, and we're part of MBS QUIP, which is metabolic bariatric quality. I can't remember what the acronym stands for off the top of my head, but it's the guidelines that are set forth and make us a center of excellence and credentialed to perform bariatric surgery within our hospital system. But we have a annual, I don't even know what the word is, an annual event each year, and our surgeons typically go. But they can use that event as one of their CMEs. Well, OG created their product to use AI to determine what can qualify as a CME. They have education on their platform that'll provide information to providers and count that as their CME. This right here, this is the OOG website, and it's telling you to basically download the app. That this isn't just a website, it's an app that you have to use. And then this is just a basic. I went to FAQs and looked to see what exactly that OG Incorporated does. But this right here is FIG's fourth quarter of 2024 report, financial report, which was available on their website, which surprisingly, they have a lot of information on their website, which is really interesting to me. Um, but it showed that their net revenue had increased at the end of 2024, but operating costs, net income, gross margin, and a few other things had all been lower than the years past around the same time. They weren't significantly lower, but they were lower than what they, I'm assuming, had expected. Now, it did say, well, let me look, my eyes aren't that great. Because it said something about, yeah, due to product mix shifts partially offset by a benefit from duty drawback claims. So in my mind, I'm thinking because they invested $25 million, well, they brought in revenue because they outsourced that, but that could have been from a different bucket, um, that contributed to them losing some income for that year. So is investing in AI technology a good thing? Well, I believe that it can help fix, and this is how. So it can help with customer service automation, AI assisted chatbots, and virtual assistants. How many times do you have an issue with a product and it's like right now, it's late for me, right? And there you can't talk to anyone. You have to wait until Monday within, like me, most people work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, right? I work 7:30 to 4 to 6, depending on what I have going on. So if I'm working a shift like 7:30 to 6, a lot of other companies, that's when they're open and I don't have anyone to talk to. Now I could email them, but then the email always says we have 24 to 48 hours to respond to you. So having the customer service automation availability would reduce some of that frustration from a consumer standpoint by saying, okay, we have someone, it might be AI, but we may be able to direct you down the path to provide an answer for you right now. It won't be a definitive answer, but at least it can kind of direct you on the path to what you need. Um, like Mike the Tiger on LSU's website. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that. I don't. I never really cared for it because it doesn't ever really provide the information that I need. But I've seen the chatbots on different platforms that it just gives you a generic um, description of things, but it doesn't provide you enough information. I believe that having 24/7 availability is a lot more feasible, but for a company like Figs, that is a direct-to-consumer brand, I'm assuming it's probably hard for them to have that availability for their team. Another way that AI can help Figs as a brand would be personalized marketing. So AI could analyze consumer data. I don't know why this is date. Consumer data to personalize and tailor product recommendations. Um, and then that kind of ties into product design insights, where AI can use product review and returns and social media feedback to provide insight on new products and how to enhance current products. So they can take, as Professor Gleberman had talked about cookies, right? And how cookies is like the way that it's being used, right? Is that someone's paying, um, the cookies is being sold to other companies. The information that you're researching is being sold to other companies to say, hey, Liliana has looked at red scrubs a couple different times. We should probably promote red scrubs, or because it's not on our color palette. This is just an example. Um, but that would be personalized marketing by taking the information that AI can calculate from the reviews that a consumer writes, social media feedback. Like if you post a TikTok video and you're like, I really like this color, but it's not in this style, it can then generate information for the company to say, okay, we don't offer that right now, but that's a great way for us to start to market or create that product. And they can use AI to generate new mock-up ideas or products. Now, another way that AI could help Figs is influencer and community engagement. while AI can find high performing influencers to target their brand, um, I'm really bad at editing, as you can tell. AI can find high performing influencers to target their brand, to bring in more consumers, is really what I was trying to say. Um, so you have someone that has 500,000 followers and they post, something good about Figs as a brand, then that's going to draw in more consumers to Figs. And then also to spot trends, AI can spot trends to reach more healthcare professionals. So I had talked about in one of my other fishbowls that I had seen a post when I was researching Figs a lot, that talked about they promote, a lot for nurses primarily, but other healthcare professional jobs also, but they don't target podiatry specifically. And it was quite a few different consumers that were complaining that, Figs doesn't recognize them as a healthcare professional. And they were kind of upset about it. And Figs had responded in a very, heartfelt way, I believe, by saying, we do see you and we understand, and we're going to come out with something great just for y'all, which I thought that was, a lot of companies don't take the time to acknowledge consumers. So that really resonated with me. And then also another big group of healthcare professionals was like respiratory therapists, occupational therapists, x-ray technologists, ultrasound technicians. They were all saying, hey, recognize us. So I think that they take a lot of consumer feedback to produce products tailored to those healthcare professionals. Um, and then just one other thing I did want to mention is, Professor Lieberman had talked about a consumer being loyal to a brand, and someone that has never had an issue with a company is likely to stay loyal compared to a consumer that has an issue and they fix the issue, right? But it's not. It's going to be that consumer that had a bad experience, reached out to the, to the company, they fixed it, and they're more loyal. So it took me almost a year to actually purchase my first pair of scrubs from Figs, just because I like to go and I like to have tangible things when it comes to clothing specifically, if I don't already know the brand. So not having that and trusting what I'm purchasing was really hard. So it took me a year to purchase the product. And when I did my first order, I had bought two pairs and it only came with one shirt. I called them that same day and said, hey, this is my first order I've ever ordered from y'all. I don't understand why it has on my receipt that I have all these products, but I didn't receive it. And they immediately apologized. They shipped out the shirt that I was missing the next day. They overnighted it to me and I got it the next day. Now, I can't speak for FedEx because if anyone has had any experience with FedEx, they take longer than what they ever say. But my package did arrive within, I believe, 2 business days, which I was not expecting that. I was just expecting either a refund or them to ship me the product and it just come, standard delivery, 5 to 6 business days or shipping days. And they overnighted it to me. So that to me said that they valued me, they cared about me, and then they offered me a discount on my next purchase. So, yeah, to say that a consumer that deals with an issue with a company, they try to make it right, they're going to stay loyal to them. So, I think that AI can truly help Figs. I think they're kind of already using that now with the amount of social media influence that they currently have and social media marketing that they have, because they are a direct-to-consumer company. But I think by incorporating some of these, like the automation and the influencer and community engagement, it can definitely bring more consumers to their brand. Thank you.